Shalom. This is Adessa Bathsai One, returning to this wonderful, wonderful study called The Last 7 Years of the End Times. And I'm loving this study because it's helping me to see the sequence of events that will take place before the southern kingdom is regathered and before the northern kingdom is regathered. We were told by Hamashiach to discern the times, not looking for an exact date, but to be able to discern due to the prophecies that were given to us and the revelation that Ruach HaKodesh is being revealing to us by opening these books, the books of prophecies of the end times, the book of Daniel and the book of Revelation. It is not in the Father's interest, and it's definitely not in our best interest, to be ignorant of what's coming. He wants us to know. That's why he sent the prophecies. But he closed up the prophecy, he closed up the words and sealed the books because it was not given for any other generation except this generation that is currently living. Right? And it is to those ones who have eyes to see, ears to hear. Now we're talking about spiritual eyes, spiritual ears, and a heart that is not calloused, a heart made of flesh, so that we can perceive what Ruach HaKodesh is telling us and understand the times that we're living in. So now we are informed. We're not ignorant. Once you know the truth, you're no longer ignorant. You now are informed. And because you're informed, you now can make the right decisions to do the things that you're supposed to be doing, which is to keep watch and pray. Now, I also want to say this. If you hear a buzzing sound, that's my fan in the background. So, part one. Because there's so much that is going to happen in the first 3.5 years. Because we know the different systems that are going to be risen up or raised up for those 3.5 years to reign on the earth, to bring about the destruction and the chaos and the confusion. But at the same time, it's a marvelous time to be alive. So don't be afraid, because this is where we're going to see the hand of the Most High move on our behalf. We've only read about it in the scriptures, all the miracles that he did for his children, the children of Yashrael. Now we're going to live and experience those miracles. So that's why I'm saying it's a marvelous time to be alive. However, if your heart is not right before him, it'll be a time of great fear. But if your heart is righteous before him, and you're walking in holiness, believing in Hamashiach, then this is going to be a wow, amazing moment for us. A big wow. Because we're seeing miracles we've never seen before. We experience little miracles in our lives, things that happen where we didn't expect them to happen. And yes, we attribute all of that to the hand of the Most High in our lives. But I'm talking about visually seeing miracles, things that words will not be able to correctly describe and even explain. Those kinds of miracles. All right. So what we're going to do a quick review of part one so that we can jump right into part two and finish up the first 3.5 years. So this is a quick review. If you have not watched part 1, please, I will strongly suggest, please watch part 1 so that you can understand the sequence of events, all the different things that I'll be mentioning in this study and even in part 3. So we know that there are 3 periods of times mentioned when it comes to the end times. You hear the words time, times, and half, or half a time. We know that's 3.5 years. We also hear 42 months, and we also hear 1,260 days, which we know are 3.5 years. In the book of Daniel, it was mentioned about 1,290 days. And then again, later in that same verse 12 of Daniel chapter 12, it mentioned 1,000. Let me just say, I'm going to, off the top of my head, I'm going to repeat the verse. Blessed is he that waits for the 1,335 days. So those are the 3 times that have been mentioned in these prophecies. Some people try to guesstimate what they mean, but until Ruach HaKodesh is ready to explain these things to us, we are not going to be able to understand them. We know everything is going to be centered around these last 7 years. And half of 7 years is 3.5 years. And we know that the first 3.5 years have been given over to the beast and its king. The beast, speaking of the empire, the beast empire, which we know is called the NWO, the New World Order. Some people call it the One World Order, the One World Government. Whatever you want to call it, that's what it is. It's going to be ran by a Satan. And then we have the king, which will be the anti-Messiah, or he's also called the false prophet. They're not 2 different peoples. They are one and the same. Some people attribute the beast that comes out of the sea, which is Revelation chapter 13, to be the anti-Messiah. And then they say the one that comes out of the earth is the false prophet. That is very wrong. Very, very wrong. We need a system. And if you study the prophecies, and if you go to my study called The Beast of the Book of Revelation. It explains all the different empires, world-ruling empires that have existed and will be existing in the future and is currently existing. There's one currently existing. It's called the United Nations. But we don't view it as an empire, but it has the characteristics of an empire. World-ruling empire too. All right. So we have those times that we have to keep at the back of our heads, because those times are going to keep coming back to us. The 3.5 years, which would be the 1,260 days, the 1,290 days, and the 1,335 years. Now, at the very start of the current ruling empire called the UN, when you see them pushing new and stricter mandates because of a new outbreak, that will be the beginning of a countdown for about 30 days. Because during these 30 days, once the new outbreak that comes with new and stricter mandates, the Southern Kingdom will be persecuted by this ruling empire called the UN. And what will these mandates be? And what will this outbreak be? And along with this outbreak, mind you, because they've been talking about it, climate change, and they want to have all these new mandates to stop people from eating meat and traveling and all these different things. Right? That's going to be their new religion. Worshipping the earth. So, once you see this outbreak comes up, and it's going to be massive, just like the one that happened 3 years ago, they're going to come back with their mandates. But this tactic, this plot, is going to be focused on the Southern Kingdom to get them to comply, to get us to comply. Because they know what day it is, Don't think that the devil does not know, the devils, because there are 5 of them, 5 Satans. Don't think that they don't know what day it is. They may not be privy to all the information, but they know the signs that their ruling, their time of reign is going to be over very soon, once the Southern Kingdom is taken. So their plot is to try to hamper the move of the Southern Kingdom from being regathered. That's why you got all these weird things floating around in the sky. And they're trying to say, yeah, so it's this country that's spying on that country. No, they're keeping watch because they know. All these things that people are seeing that they call UFOs, that's them keeping watch because they know. They know it's going to happen. But I'm going to tell you, don't get too worked up just yet, because the outbreak has to come. Once the outbreak comes, in a split second, they're going to have these new and stricter mandates. They're hinting about it. And they're saying we need to shut down this world because of the earth is so sick, because of climate change, because of people breathing and eating meat. So this is the how it's going to roll out. When you see us being persecuted because we will not comply to the mandates, and let me explain how some of these mandates are going to play out. Right now, as I'm speaking, because I have done some research into it, right now they are breaking out that global, they call it the global currency. All right, it's happening. It's not crypto, sorry. It's called, oh my goodness, it just was at the tip of my tongue, right? But it's happening. Digital currency, that's what it is. CBDC, digital currency, yes, CBDC, central bank digital currency. It's been approved. And they've been talking about it. That's one world money, one world financial system. That way they can control you, because there will be no more tangible money, because they can't track physical money. But they can track you, track what you do, where you go with digital currency, the ones and the zeros. And they can also control your money. They can stop you from spending. They can take it away. They can give it to you. They can do whatever they want to do. And here's the mandate. In order for you to be a part of this system, you're going to have to follow other mandates, which is to take their juice. because of the outbreak. So if you have money in the bank, that's what I'm telling you people. If you have money in the bank, consider it as toilet paper. Use it. Stop saving money. This is not a time to be saving money. Go get your goods, get your whatever you need. Get out of Dodge. Now, I'm not trying to raise a panic here, but I'm telling you, if you're thinking that you're going to live to a ripe old age and live on a pension, you're sadly mistaken. Unless you're already at your old age, but even then, you're going to have some problems trying to get your money out of the bank. Look at people lining up to get a couple of dollars a day or a week out of the bank. And pretty soon they're just going to shut the banks down, and then you're not going to be able to get anything out of it because they're going to reformat the financial system. And what are you going to do when they tell you, well, in order for you to get anything, you got to go and comply with the system? It is not the new NWO just yet, but the UN is going to usher in these mandates, these rules, these laws. They have the power now because all the countries around the world, well, the greater majority of them, the main ones, have given them the power to make any decisions that they want to make to control that country, their country, and the population within the country. So everything is going to be funneled, pointed like a laser beam to the the Southern Kingdom. And that's how we will know it is very, very soon for us to leave. We will not be killed. The righteous remnant will not be killed. So don't grow fearful. As long as you're walking in His commandments, as long as you're obeying His word and worshiping Him and no other idols, you don't have anything to fear. You just need to wait. You may not have money, may not be able to go to the bank, but you're not going to starve to death because it's only 30 days that they're going to be able to press on us. Because what's going to happen as they're doing that to us, they're also doing it to the rest of the people in the world. They're going to be the dissidents. I call them dissidents. They're going to be an uprising of the Gentiles who have not taken the Jews, but they want their money. Or they want to be able to go get their groceries because they have no money. How are they going to buy food? So they're going to rise up. You know why they're going to rise up? Because they're frustrated and they're fed up. This happened 3 years ago. I know you're bringing this back again. This is a time where the earth is going to rise up. And that's how we're going to be sheltered, so to speak. And that's in Revelation chapter 12. The earth opens up her mouth to swallow the flood that the dragon sent after the woman. So what they meant to destroy us is going to backfire against them. So once we leave now at that 30-day mark, then the Northern Kingdom is going to wake up. Why? Because the whole world is going to see us as we leave, including them. And if you're going to take note that it's only going to be Negroes leaving. No Chinese, no Japanese, no Indians, no Caucasians. Stop including all of them in our lineage. It's all going to be Negroes. Some might be lighter in color. You call them light skin, dark skin. But there ain't going to be no Caucasian. And no first generation mixed children either. All right? He's not bringing out a mixed multitude. This is definitely a fourth generation and up. Fourth generation, fifth generation and up. Regathering. Why? Because according to His word, we can only be called or be restored to our lineage in the 4th generation. Go back to the scriptures. And I did a study on that too. It's not a popular study because people don't want to hear it. They want to marry outside people and think that they can carry them into the kingdom with themselves along with their mixed children. Ain't gonna happen. Either you die with them or you're gonna have to leave them behind. But he's not interested in them. He warned us not to mix and mingle with other nations because they're going to draw us away from worshiping him. But anyways, that's a study for another time. So the northern kingdom is going to notice that all these people that look like them, and they're going to have a question in their mind like, how come they're gone and we're not gone? How come they look like us? Who are these people? And that's when they're going to know that they're the northern kingdom. At the same time, and this is at the beginning of the reign of the NWO, the UN will merge with it because it will soon appear on the earth. It will appear on the earth sometime after the woman leaves. All these things are going to happen. See, that's why Satan does not want us to leave. He does not want us to be regathered because our regathering triggers a whole bunch of things happening on this earth, including the end times. That's why the Father spelt it out in days, weeks, months, and years. And even in prophetic language like time, times, and half a time. Because he wants us to know the significance of these particular periods of time. And when the southern kingdom leaves, it will trigger the beginning of the end. The first 3.5 years. So while all these things are happening, the UN will merge to become one of the heads of the NWO, the government head. I explained it all in the previous study that I spoke about, the beast of the book of Revelation. Please return to that so that you can see what I'm talking about. And not only does the beast empire rise up, but the false prophet, the anti-Messiah, also will rise up because an empire needs an emperor. And then at that time, the 5th seal will open. What is the 5th seal? Under the altar, souls are crying out for revenge. Those are the cries of the martyrs underneath the altar of Allah. Now, once that seal is broken, it gives permission to the beast empire and the false prophet to persecute the northern kingdom, to war against them and prevail against them for the full 3.5 years. They're going to fight. They're going to fight valiantly, but they're still going to be prevailed against. Why? Because it's given to this beast empire to war against them, to prevail against them. There's a certain number of them that needs to be martyred. Go back to the 5th seal and what was spoken to the souls waiting there, crying out for the Most High to war against the ones, to avenge their blood against the ones on the earth that have shed their blood. And what did he tell them? Just wait a while until the number of your brethren, your kinsmen, have been fulfilled. Has to be done. This is prophecy. So the 5th seal opening means war on the earth between the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom. Now, I found this scripture in the book of Luke. All right, let's take a look at it. This was in the previous study. In the book of Luke, chapter 22, verse 35 all the way through to 38. When he tells them to go and sell their garments and buy a sword. If you don't have a sword, if you don't have a weapon, sell your garment and buy one. Then in the next scripture called Matthew, the book of Matthew, chapter 26, verse 51, when Peter cut off the servant of the high priest's ear, what did Hamashiach say to him? Gird up your sword, for all they that take the sword shall perish with the sword. So on one hand, he's saying, no, you don't war for me. Don't you know that I can now pray to my Father, my Abba, and he can send me more than 12 legions of angels? But then how shall the scriptures be fulfilled? Thus it must be. So when we see the prophecies, they must be fulfilled, because the word of Allah must not and will not and cannot return to him void. It must accomplish all that he sends it forth to accomplish, and his words are prophecy. So the prophecy is for the northern kingdom. This is their time to be martyred. It is their time. Southern kingdom has gone through her periods of times of martyrdom, but now this is going to be the time of the northern kingdom, and this will help to wake them up to make a sure and sound decision whom they will serve. All right. Let's get back to this slide here. So this war is going to take place for 3.5 years. And going back to the book of Luke 22, that scripture where Hamashiach tells the disciples, those that, who doesn't have a sword, who doesn't have a weapon, sell your garment and buy one. That message is for the northern kingdom, because they have to war. We, the southern kingdom, we don't need to war. Read the scriptures. It's absolutely clear. She flees. She's given 2 wings like an eagle. It's a prophetic imagery. Divine intervention. She's going to be taken off the earth. There's no fighting for us. So that's what's going to happen for the northern kingdom. So now at the 3.5 year mark, because the persecution, the war is not going to go on forever, it's only for 3.5 years. We have the 6th seal will be opened by Hamashiach. Now I have these 2 sets of times here, the 1,260 days, that's 3.5 years, that the reign of the empire and the false prophet is going to reign. That's the length of time the war against the northern kingdom is going to be waged. But the 1,290 days, that's inclusive of the 30 days when you go way back to the beginning, when there's an outbreak and mandates and all these different things are put in place to cause the world to comply once again. The focus then will turn on the southern kingdom. The persecution, that starts 30 days before the 3.5 years begin. And that's how you get that period of time. Now, the great earthquake that will occur in the sixth seal when it's open is going to stop the NWO in its tracks, devastating its empire because it is a technology-based empire. Look around us. Everything is focused on technology. Even money is technology. They want to turn people into technology. This is a technology-based empire, the NWO, because that's their way, and this is what Satan loves. It does one of two things: control outwardly and inwardly, and at the same time making people an abomination, and they will become desolate because now they become a hybrid species if they take their toxin, if they take their poisons. It converts them from being human to be a hybrid species. And that's why the Most High will reject anyone who takes the toxin. Anyone. There's no repentance for it. There's no cleansing that you can do for it. Nothing you can do to get it out once you put it in. Because the reason why people are allowing it is because of fear. Because they don't believe in the Most High. They don't trust in Him. They want to continue living on this earth under this ruling system, this evil system. That's what they want. They want nothing to do with the Most High, even though some of them will say, well, I'm a Christian. But because they still want to live like the Gentiles, and I'm talking about our brethren, forget about the Gentiles. Some of them are smart and they said, no, we're not putting this garbage in our system. They're smart. They know. But I'm dealing with our people now. Our people, they're Gentiles through and through. Just like our forefathers that always want to live and do the things of what the nations are doing around them. They always want to do and live just like the other nations. And that's why they go and marry into other nations, because they want to be like them. They don't like themselves. They don't love themselves. They have learned to hate themselves. That hatred comes from years and years of persecution. I get it. But we were the cause of that. We had it good. We had our own land. All we had to do is to worship the Most High, but that wasn't enough for our people. So now we are dealing with our own, all the errors of our forefathers and our own, because some of our people still can't get it. They still can't get it. That's why a great multitude of our people are going to perish, and I mean condemned for all eternity. All right, so the great earthquake is going to devastate the NWO, and there'll be no more technology. That's why this empire is going to basically go underground, literally and figuratively. Because once that earthquake happens and the firmament rolls back like a scroll, and the face of Allah Hayam is revealed, and the wrath of Hamashiach is shown, these devils are going to run underground. They're going to run to the underground cities to hide out there. So this NWO will be devastated but not destroyed. Not yet. It's just going to go underground. And that is the reign of the NWO comes to an end. But temporarily, it's going to come back. But not like it was before. There will be no more technology. The 45 days later, after the sixth seal is open, the seventh seal is opened. And I'm going to explain that in this conclusion of the first 3.5 years. I'm going to tell you all the things that are going to happen. The northern kingdom will also leave on their second exodus, and this will be the 1335th day. So when it starts from the beginning, where the UN issues, oh, we have an outbreak, we have to, set up these mandates. They start to persecute the southern kingdom, then we can start counting the days. We can literally start counting the days. Then it will become clearer and clearer as it begins. So that will be the 1335th day. 45 days after the sixth seal is open. All right? Okay, let's take a look at the graph so you can see it. So right there, we have the beginning where the UN implements the new mandates. Then we have 30 days later, all these different things happen. The Southern Kingdom leaves, the Northern Kingdom wakes up, the NWO, the false prophet, rise up, fifth seal opens. Then we have the war between the Northern Kingdom and the NWO and the false prophet for the 3.5 years. Sixth seal is open. There's a great earthquake. NWO is devastated. This is the 3.5 year mark. If you look at the first year, at the beginning with the UN, that's 1,290 days. All right. And then 45 days later, the seventh seal opens. Northern Kingdom goes on the Exodus, and then they will reach their land by year 7. All right. So this is in the second half of the 3.5 years, and we will take a look at that in part 3 to show you exactly what is due to take place according to prophecy. All right, according to prophecy. So let's go back to that. We finished that, so now we can get started with this second part of the first 3.5 years. We're going to conclude that. So we're going to go back to Daniel chapter 7. We've been in this book for several studies now, but it's very pivotal because it is telling us what is going to happen in our time. All right, so let's look at verse 20. And the 10 horns that were on his head, and of the other which came up, and before whom 3 fell, even of that horn that had eyes, and a mouth that spoke very great things, whose look was more stout than his fellows. Now this is the anti-Messiah. All right, false prophet. Verse 21, I beheld, and the same horn made war with the saints, and prevailed against them. That means he was able to win his war against the Northern Kingdom, to the point where they may even start to think, well, hey, we're going to perish here. We're all going to die. But here's what's going to happen. Verse 22, until Othayak o Hayawam, the Ancient of Days, came, and judgment was given to the saints of Ha'ola Yawan, and the time came that the saints possessed the kingdom. He's going to end that war with the earthquake. And that will be the ending of their war. They're not going to have to war anymore. But he will still deal with them all the way until they reach the land, because they still need to be sifted. They're still going to have a little remnants of their old life that needs to be purged out of them. Revelation chapter 13 verse 4, and they worshipped the dragon which gave power unto the beast, and they worshipped the beast, saying, these are the people on the earth, the ones that have taken the juice, the poison, who is like unto the beast, who is able to make war with him. And there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies, and power was given unto him to continue 40 and 2 months. That's 3.5 years. This is the beast empire. This is not the false prophet. This is not the anti-Messiah. This is the empire, the beast empire. All right. Verse 6. And he opened his mouth in blasphemy against Allahayam, to blaspheme his name and his tabernacle and them that dwell in the heaven. And it was given unto him to make war with the saints and to overcome them. And power was given him over all kindreds and tongues and nations. So it's going to be a worldwide empire that is going to control kindreds and tongues and nations. The heads, we know, are the systems that control us. And the horns are the kings that are going to be set up over 10 territories of this earth. The earth is going to be divided up into 10 parts, and there are going to be 10 kings ruling over those 10 territories. That is the system. That is the empire. And every empire needs a king. That's the false prophet. Now, the saints mentioned in these scriptures are none other than the northern kingdom. After they are overcome by the beast empire, they will not be wiped out, just subdued. But Hamashiach will open the sixth seal, dealing the beast empire a devastating blow. 45 days later, the seventh seal will be opened, that it will be time for the northern kingdom to begin their second exodus into the wilderness. The beast empire will be reeling and their technology rendered useless. The rulers in this empire, in this beast empire, will flee from the wrath of the Lamb and the face of Allahayah. Now, why will the exodus occur 45 days after the sixth seal is opened? Notice that the earthquake will cause mountains and islands to move out of their places, because the earth will become one continent again, like it was before the flood. During the time of Noah, who we know is Noah, when the flood came, the waters came from above and beneath the earth. This caused the one landmass to be divided into continents and islands that we have today. When this epic earthquake comes, it will bring the earth back together again to be one land, one continent with fewer islands. This will serve to help the northern kingdom on their exodus home, as they will not need ships to get home. They'll be traveling on land all the way to Yashrael. That's how they left, walking. They're going to return walking. So all these foolish people out there talking about ships of Tarshish being these luxury liners that are going to come and take them on a cushy ride into the wilderness. I don't know what else I can say to you about that, except you are sadly mistaken, you're misinformed, and you're deluded. All right, you're going to have to walk. You're going to have to walk it out. Because there's certain things that need to be done in the land. And it's not Africa, by the way. It's not Africa. But there are certain things that needs to be done in our land. Our land need to be purged, cleansed, before the northern kingdom arrives. So that's why they have to take their time and walk. Plus they have to go through some of the great tribulation as well. And learn to endure by trusting and believing in Hamashiach and walking out his word. Walking in faith. Every step that they make will be a step of faith. Without grumbling and complaining like our forefathers. Because the grumblers and the complainers, he's going to strike them off. That made the Most High very angry when our forefathers saw the miracles, and yet the slightest um, difficulties, the slightest difficulty that they encountered caused them to murmur and complain. And it made him angry because it meant that their words were not the words that they spoke to him in saying, yes, we will believe in you, were not true words. Yes, we will be your children and you will be our Allah Hayam were not correct. They were not honest words. They were not true words. They were speaking with their lips, but in their hearts, they did not believe him because they did not have faith in him. So what they saw, what they witnessed, did not mix with the faith that they needed to make it a concrete belief in Allah Hayam. That's how we believe when we have faith. It's one thing to see the miracles, but when difficulties come, you're going to forget the miracles. You're going to be thinking here and now. But if you have faith, that faith will remind you of the miracles that you've seen in your life before. And you didn't die then, so you're not going to die now. You just need to hold on and ride this storm. That's what faith does. Triggers the memory, and it helps you to ride out the storm because you think to yourself, I've been through worse. This is no different. And he came through for me, and I know he's going to come through again. That's what faith does. But our forefathers never had faith. That's why they died in the wilderness, with the exception of 2. I'm not saying that Masha didn't have faith, but he struck the rock. His punishment was that he was never going to walk in the land of promise. And Ahawaran, of course he had faith because he was the high priest that was chosen by the Most High. But he made the calf, the golden calf. So he wasn't allowed into the land either. All right. So all those people that are looking for the luxury liners to come and take them into the wilderness, good luck when the ships do come, because they will send them, because it's out there and they know that our people love luxury. So they're going to send the luxury liners, and all those foolish people that jump on them, as soon as they get out into open water, they're just going to blow them up with all those people on it. Well, it's stuck him back on a martini or something. Because I know our people, they still like their drinks. All right. Now this earthquake will help to shorten the distance needed to travel, as there will be no seas to cross. This is all going to be a walk. And if you look at Joel chapter 2, it tells you how they're going to be walking and what's going to happen for them. They're going to see some tremendous miracles as they're walking through the wilderness. All right. They're going to receive manna again. That's how they're going to live. And the land before them, because the Most High, he's the one who's leading them. Just like our forefathers were led by a pillar of fire by night and a pillar of cloud by day, they're going to be led by fire day and night. Why? Because it says a fire goes before them and a flame behind them. And the land before them is going to be like the Garden of Odan, the Garden of Eden. So they're not going to have any needs per se when it comes to food and water. But that's not going to be immediate. No, it is not going to be immediate when this happens. This is going to happen for those that are righteous, that going to believe in Hamashiach, that is going to have faith that no matter when they first start out on a journey, it's going to be a little rocky at first because of all the things that they're going to be going through. Remember, the earth is still going to be going through the judgments, the trumpets. So they're going to have to really get rid of a lot of their, all of their pagan ideologies, their pagan way of thinking, their Gentile way of thinking. They're going to have to literally walk in the commandments of the Most High, walk in believing in Him, even though they have no reason to believe, even though they may die because they're thirsty. But they know they're not going to die. But the ones that, the minute, the second that a complaint comes on their lips, before it can come out of their mouth, they're going to be struck down dead. Because He wants to get rid of the rebels. But the ones that hang in there, He's not going to allow it to go on forever, but they will see the miracles happening because they have persevered. He wants us to persevere even through hard times. Even though it looks like we are not going to make it, He wants us to persevere because of our faith and belief in Him. He speaks to me about that all the time. All the time about my life. He speaks to me about this. Just because things are not going the way how you want them to go, and they're going against your ways, doesn't mean that I've left you. I'm raking you through the fire because I'm purging you even more. So you just need to hang on to me and believe in me that at the end of it all, you will come out like pure gold. I'm removing the bits and pieces of garbage that's inside of you, burning it up, plucking it out, cutting it out. Because the people that He is going to regather are not going to have one iota of rebellion inside of them. There'll be no potential to become a rebel like our forefathers by the time He is finished with us. And that's why we're still here. That's why we're still waiting. And that's why the evil, wicked people in this world, they want to carry on the program, but they just can't go ahead just yet until He gives them the okay. So this period of time that we're waiting, some of us patiently and some of us impatiently. I'm patient on some days and impatient on other days. I'm a mixture of both. All right? Those ones, He's dealing with His people right now as I'm speaking. He is getting our hearts ready, because let me just tell you about these chariots that are coming. If our hearts are not right before Him, we will do what our forefathers have done when He came down on the mountain in Sinai. In the wilderness on Mount Sinai. We will do what our forefathers did. We will go and run and hide. All right? Our forefathers, they cleansed their bodies and their clothes, stayed away from their wives for 3 days. But when He came down, they were so afraid. They didn't want to come out. They wanted to stay behind in their tents. They sent Masha up to receive the commandments when they should have gone up and received it themselves written on their hearts. But instead, Masha had to get, the Most High wrote it on 2 tablets of stone to give it to Masha to give to the children of Yashrael. When it should have been them up there receiving the law written on their hearts. But they couldn't go up because they had idolatry in their hearts. And we know what that idolatry was. It was that golden calf. That's always been the problem with our people, idolatry. If it's not our cars, our money, or our careers, or education, our children, our husband, our wives, All these things become idols in our lives because we esteem them higher than the Most High. And anything that you esteem higher than Him, it becomes your gods, becomes idolatry. Because it means that you will not submit to Him. If He says to give them up, you will rather give Him up so that you can keep those things. And that is the nature of Yashraal, northern kingdom and the southern kingdom. And that's why we got to go through the fire. He has to burn all this thing off. Burn it out, burn it off, cut it out. And that's why we're still here. All right. Let's carry on. Where did I stop? Okay, verse 6. Okay, I read that already. Sorry, verse 7, I've already read that. And I've already read about the saints mentioned. Okay, so we've dropped all the way down about the ships. Yes, that's where we were. Now, this earthquake will help to shorten the distance needed to travel. I read that already, but I'll read it again. To travel as there will be no seas to cross. Now, this will be also beneficial during the millennial reign of Hamashiach. That's his 1,000-year reign when he comes back to the earth. The last Satan will be cast into the bottomless pit, seal put over his mouth, and the earth will have peace once again. All right? Hamashiach is going to rule as our king and the king of the earth. Now, when the Gentiles need to come and bring their offering, it will help them as well. Well, we'll be living in our land. We don't have far to travel anymore. But the Gentiles that will be living on the outskirts of our land, they will have to travel to come to bring their offerings to Hamashiach in Yerushalayim. Every single person have to bring their offering. And he said in Zechariah, those that refuse to come, he's going to curse them. He's going to kill them. First, he's going to bring a drought, and then he's going to kill them. Revelation chapter 6, verse 12, and I beheld when he opened the sixth seal, and lo, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became as blood, and the stars of heaven fell onto the earth, even as a fig tree casts her untimely figs when she is shaken of a mighty wind. And the heaven departed as a scroll when it is rolled together. This is what's going to happen. It hasn't happened yet. And every mountain and island were moved out of their places. Mountains are going to come down. Islands are going to, some islands, not all of them. Every mountain is going to move out of its place, and mountains are just going to come down flat. Islands are going to move out of their place. They're either going to sink or join with the continent. All right, this is the Heavenly Father's reformatting the landmass, bringing it back together as one. That's why these things have to move out of their places. And the kings of the earth, and the great men, and the rich men, and the chief captains, and the mighty men, and every bondman, and every free man hid themselves in the dens and in the rocks of the mountains. All these are the wicked ones that were running the empire along with the false prophet. They're all going to run to their underground lairs, their underground cities that they've built. Why do you think they've built the cities underground? Because they know what's coming. They know what's coming. It's only us, the ignorant Yashraal, the southern kingdom, that are so in love with this life on this earth as it is, with its wickedness, that we want to remain here. We want to stay here. And I don't understand it. Why would you want to stay? You have children. Look at what they're teaching your children. Look what your children are being exposed to. Do you want that for your children? And then when they grow up and become traumatized adults, not knowing left from right, up from down, in from out. Everything is going to be the opposite. Good becomes evil and evil becomes good. You want that for your children? Why do you want to hang on to this life? It has nothing for us. It has nothing for the people in the world, the Gentiles, and has even less for us. But we still want to hold on to it. Why? I have no idea. All right. Verse 16, and said to the mountains and rocks, fall on us and hide us from the face of him that sits on the throne and from the wrath of the Lamb. Because they're coming with vengeance, for the great day of his wrath is come, and who shall be able to stand? Some people have said that the sixth seal was opened already, but where is the firmament that departs like a scroll, revealing the upper heavens? Where is it? When did that happen? This has not happened yet. Some people are talking about trumpet judgments, and we ain't not even finished the seal judgments yet. When it happens, or when it will happen, there will be no doubt that this is that earthquake, because Elohim and Hamashiach will show their faces to the whole earth. The whole earth is going to see them. We're not going to be here. The southern kingdom is not going to be here. But the whole earth is going to see their faces. Not to mention the shaking of the heavens and the earth that will be beyond anything that has ever been experienced. So this is a worldwide earthquake. This isn't just one earthquake in one continent. This is an earthquake that's going to be felt around the world. Everyone is going to experience this shaking. Let's look at Yasha'oyah, the book of Isaiah, chapter 24, verse 20. The earth shall reel to and fro like a drunkard. That's how the earth is going to behave. It's going to be back and forth. Have you ever been in an earthquake? I've been in a small earthquake and it shook me up. So imagine an earthquake of this magnitude that is going to be felt worldwide. That's literally going to cause the stars in the heavens to fall down. Some people say that those are angels falling from the heavens. That's not true. But when we get to that scripture in the book of Revelation, we'll discuss it further. But this is what's going to happen. The earth is going to shake with such a magnitude earthquake that it's going to go off the scales. Because it's moving everything out of place now, moving the mountains and the islands out of place. And shall be removed like a cottage, and the transgression thereof shall be heavy upon it. And it shall fall and not rise again. And it shall come to pass that in that day Yahweh will punish the host of the high ones on high. Those are the devils, the fallen angels, and the kings of the earth upon the earth. He's talking about the beast empire and the false prophet. He's going to deal with them. And they shall be gathered together as prisoners are gathered in the pit, and shall be shut up in the prison. Where is that prison? They're underground layers. They're underground layers. That's where they're running to hide from him. That's where they're going to be buried. And after many days shall they be visited. He's not done with them yet, because they're going to be more. As some die, others will be raised up again. How do we know that the seventh seal will be opened 45 days after the sixth seal will be opened? The silence that occurs in heaven when Hamashiach opens the seventh seal will happen for a very significant purpose. So now we've moved on from the sixth seal, where the earth is shaken. Now he gives the earth 45 days to recover before the seventh seal is open. There will still be people living on the earth, because the intention of the Most High is to stop the NWO with their technology, to destroy all of their technology. and to reformat the land to make it one continent again. But he's not going to destroy all of the people, just some of the wicked ones. All right. The silence, I read that already. What could be more significant than the northern kingdom during their time of their greatest tribulations, never seen before on this earth, because it's the time of Yaakob's trouble, begin to cry out to Ha'olah Yohan with tears and at the same time praises. They're happy, but yet they're uncertain. Like, what's going to happen? We're still here. The war is finished. The NWO seems to have been destroyed. Not really, but it went underground a little bit. It's going to come back up. It's going to rise up again. And then this earthquake. We survived this earthquake. Why were they able to be saved? Why were they able to survive this earthquake? Because He's going to preserve them. And they're going to know it. They're going to know these remnant righteous brethren of the northern kingdom. They're going to know that it was by the hand of Allah Hayam that they were preserved. And that's why they're going to be tears of joy. And yet they're going to want to know, what do we do from here? They're going to cry out. And they're going to have praises on their lips because they've been preserved. They've seen some atrocities being done with their brethren when they were slaughtered, but they've made it through. Now this earthquake, and they've made it through as well. They made it through that as well. So this is what's going to happen. They're singing their praises. They're singing their praises. All their cries are going up to the heavens. Remember, there are no more firmament. They can see now the heavens above their heads. At the sixth seal, the enemies will be devastated, but at the same time, they too will have to face that tremendous earthquake. They will cry out to Him for help, sending their prayers and praises up to Him, because they need to know, what do we do from here? We can't go back to where we were before. We can't go back to that life. We now have a new Savior. We have the true Savior. We have a true King over us, that we will serve Him. We will serve Him with all our hearts. So what do we do from here? It's like children being retaught. They've been walking in pagan religions for so long, they wouldn't know what to do until He comes to teach them. To tell them what to do. These are the sweet odors that Allah Hayam is wanting from His people, and finally the northern kingdom will get it. They will understand that their only way of continual survival is to return to their true Mashiach and Allah Hayam, Abba Yano, which is our Abba in our language. Now this will call for the seventh seal to be opened, as the ears of Allah Hayam will be opened unto their cries. He wants to hear them crying out to them. This is what our forefathers should have done. And not crying out as in complaining, whining like little girls, but they're supposed to be crying out, saying, we believe, we know that you have preserved us thus far. We want to know what we need to do in order to carry on. Where do we go from here, Abba? Can you imagine making it through that tremendous wicked war? Then making it through the earthquake, What their cries will sound like to his ears is going to be like music to his ears. He is going to tell the whole heavens, stop with your perfect praise. I want to hear the perfected praise of my children. Perfected through persecution. That's what he wants to hear. That when we're going through the worst things in our lives, that we don't start to complain and whine about it, but we start to praise him. Because that's when praise is the sweetest to his ears. Anytime I'm going through stuff and I start to find myself wanting to complain, you know what he said? Okay, go for a walk. Go for a walk. And there's something about being out in nature that totally changes my perspective. I'm now able to stop complaining and I can start giving him praise. And I'm learning more and more that even though I may not go for a walk, that while I'm thinking these negative thoughts, to switch it up and say, you know what? It's bad. I don't feel good, but I still give you praise. That's what he wants to hear. And just like that, those feelings, that negative emotion, that negative energy has to go. That's the enemy. The minions that the Satans have released against us to bring us into oppression and depression, frustration, anxiety, all these negative emotions, to keep us under their thumbs, to keep us questioning Alahayam. And when we do that, when we start to worry and do all those things, we take the problems out of his hand, and we are now holding on to the problems and still complaining about it to him. When he says, give it to me and leave it in my hand. But the problem with some of us is we want immediate reaction. We want an immediate cure. And he's like, no, it doesn't happen that way. Not all the time. You need to trust me. You need to have faith in me. And these are all ways in which he builds our faith in him. When we hold on, but we still believe, even though we are right in this storm and the storm is raging around us, this is how he builds our faith and strengthens us on the inward parts, strengthen our relationship with him. That when the next storm comes, instead of jumping into the boat where misery is, complaining and whining is, we stand on faith and we go on his boat where we start to sing him praises and giving him all the thanks and all the prayers that we can think of based on the word that we have hidden in our hearts, that we call to remembrance to him, all the things that he has said to us and promised us, and said, please don't forget me. And please preserve me. Please help me. And you just leave it there in his hands. Just leave it there in his hands. So imagine our brethren during the time that this earth, the worst time that this earth has ever seen. Imagine them, their mindset. They'll be sending up some serious prayers and praises. They'll be crying out to him, but not complaining. And this is what he wants to hear. Psalms 18 verse 3, I will call upon Yahweh who is worthy to be praised. So shall I be saved from my enemies. The sorrows of death encompassed me, that means surrounds me, and the floods of ungodly men made me afraid. The sorrows of hell compassed me about, the snares of death prevented me. In my distress I called upon Yahweh and cried unto Alahai, that is my Alahayam. He heard my voice out of his temple, and my cry came before him, even unto his ears. He wants us to cry out to him for help. Doesn't want us to complain. Why did you let this happen to me? This is always happening to me. My life is so bad. Blah, blah. That's complaining. That's complaining. He does not want to hear that. What he wants to hear is that you are the Most High. You deserve all the praises, and I give you the praise for all that you have done for me and all that you're going to do. I worship you and none other. Father, I'm in need. Help me. And no matter how badly in need I'm in, no matter how I feel, I still give you praise. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. That is the prayer that he wants to hear. Not the whining and complaining that our people love to do. Psalm 34 verse 15. The eyes of Yahweh are upon the righteous, and his ears are open unto their cry. He wants to hear us when we cry out to him. He wants us to be dependent on him for our daily bread, for our daily sustenance. Verse 16, the face of Yahweh is against them that do evil, to cut off the remembrance of them from the earth. The righteous cry, and Yahweh hears and delivers them out of all their troubles. Yahweh is nigh unto them that are of a broken heart, and saves such as be of a contrite spirit. The more broken you feel, the more he loves it. Because out of that brokenness, the cries of praises, when they come out, makes music to his ears. When we're broken, there are things that can be happening, like all the evil can flow out, all the rottenness can be plucked out, can be, poured out. While at the same time, he is remolding us, because we can't come to him and say, well, we have it together, because none of us have it together. None. We're a broken people. We are people that are filled with all these different flaws because of the way how we have been living on this earth. We've been away from our land, away from our culture, away from him. So we are modeled, or were modeled, after the world. So when we come back to him now, he has to start breaking us and remolding us, breaking us again and remolding us. Because he starts with the outward, the superficial things first, and then he goes deeper and deeper till he gets to the very core of our being. That's why we're still broken. And in our broken state, instead of complaining, we need to give him praise. It's the sweetest praise there is. So that's why he said he's near to those who are broken and of a contrite spirit. Because in your brokenness, let me tell you something. When a man is broken, or a woman is broken, you can tell who he worships by what comes out of his lips. You can tell who this person worships by the words that flow out of their mouths. Because if they're cursing and getting angry, we know who they're serving. But if there's a praise on your lips and even crying out for help, we know who you're serving. That's why when we become broken, learn to praise. Because then our brokenness will be healed by him. We're broken for a reason. Because we want him to remold us, remodel us to be more in his image each and every time. Okay, verse 19. Many are the afflictions of the righteous, but Yahweh delivers him out of them all. He keeps all his bones, not one of them is broken. Evil shall slay the wicked, and they that hate the righteous shall be desolate. Yahweh redeems the soul of his servants. None of them that trust in him shall be desolate. So when we're broken, contrite, spirit, and we continue to trust in him, we will not be desolate. Remember, the abomination that makes desolate, that means you're condemned by him. But when we trust in him, he will not make us desolate. All right? Psalm 141 verse 1, Yahweh, I cry unto you, I cry unto you, make haste unto me. Give ear unto my voice when I cry unto you. We can sing these prayers to him. We can, sing or say these prayers to him, these psalms to him as prayers. All right? Sometimes there's certain verses in scriptures that stick with me and they become part of my prayer to him. Verse 2, let my prayer be set forth before you as incense, and the lifting up of my hands as the evening sacrifice. So when we are praying in righteousness, even in brokenness, our prayers rises up like incense. And that's where he can smell the sweet savor of our prayers. And that's what he wants to hear. That's what he wants to smell. Okay, let's look at Revelation chapter 8 verse 1 now. And when he had opened the seventh seal, there was silence in the heaven about the space of half an hour. And I saw the seven angels who stood before Elohim, and to them were given seven trumpets. And another angel came and stood at the altar, having a golden censer, and there was given unto him much incense, that he should offer it with the prayers of the saints upon the altar which was before the throne. Verse 4, and the smoke of the incense which came with the prayers of the saints ascended up before Elohim out of the angel's hand. And the angel took the censer and filled it with fire of the altar and cast it onto the earth. And there were voices and thunderings and lightnings and an earthquake, another earthquake. But this one did not seem to be devastating. It was an earthquake. Now, when we view time according to the heavens, we have to view it as prophetic, as time does not exist in the heavens. So he gives us time for our sakes, not for him. All right? Only under the dome we have time. Time exists under the dome, not above the dome. Just like a day in the heavens are as 1,000 years on the earth, so this is the same for half an hour in the heavens, for the half an hour in the heavens. So time really has to do with us here on the earth, not heaven. Elohim and the host of heaven, they exist in eternity. There's no time above the dome, above the firmament. Look at Psalms 90 verse 4, for 1,000 years in your sight are but as a yesterday when it is past, and as a watch in the night. This is from Masha, the Psalm of Masha, Moses. 2 Peter chapter 3 verse 8, but beloved, be not ignorant of this one thing, that one day with Yahweh as 1,000 years, and 1,000 years as one day. We cannot compute time in heaven. But if you want to, a day in heaven is like 1,000 years on the earth. Time as we know it was changed. Today, a day is made up of 24 hours, and each hour is made up of 60 minutes. Now, according to Elohim's time, when you go and read the book of Hanawah, the book of Enoch, we will know that time was different according to Elohim when he gave us time on the earth. A day was made up of 18 hours, and each hour was made up of 90 minutes. So we're losing time every day. Therefore, we have to use his time in order to understand what is being communicated to us regarding the space of half an hour. So we can't say half an hour is 30 minutes. Half of 90 minutes is what? 45 minutes. What we are meant to see and understand is that 45 days after the sixth seal is opened, there will be silence for 45 minutes. The same as half an hour according to Allah Hayam's timing. Now these 45 minutes point us to 45 days. They're not the equivalent of 45 days, but if you notice the times, the numbers that are given to us, they're given to us to reinforce another time, reinforce a similar looking time. If you understand what I'm saying. 45 minutes, 45 days. Now, when we go to part 3 and we look at the two witnesses, they're going to prophesy for 3.5 years, but after they're going to be killed, and they're 3.5 days later, they're going to be raised up. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay? That the times, the numbers are there to reaffirm what has been spoken previously. And what was spoken previously? That after the sixth seal, 45 days later, the seventh seal opens. The seventh seal opens. The seventh seal is opened. 45 minutes after that happens, something else occurs. Now, what will happen? Let's see. These 45 minutes point us to the 45 days, quantifying the final length of time before the northern kingdom will leave on their exodus. All right? So it's pointing us to a specific period of time when the northern kingdom will actually leave on their exodus. This time of silence in heaven meant all praises and singing and worshiping were hushed. That's perfect praise. Hushed. This has not occurred any time in the past, and it will never occur again. Therefore, this silence has profound significance, and it has to do with what will be occurring on the earth. It will have to do with the northern kingdom. They're the only not tribe, but kingdom that is left on the earth. He's focused on them now. The southern kingdom is gone. Now, because our northern brethren would have gone through great tribulation, where many will be slaughtered by the NWO and the false prophet, its king, then to face that tremendous catastrophic earthquake where the heavens are revealed, there will be a cry out to Abba from them. Remember that now the dome that once hid the heavens is now rolled up like a scroll, and for the first time, the northern kingdom brethren will be face to face with Allah Hayam. They will be seeing it. It will be a time of silence in the heavens for him to hear their cry to him of repentance, for help, and praying with all their heart, and praises. It's going to be a mixture of emotions with these people. It will be a time of such sweetness that Allah Hayam will hush the entire heavens with their perfect praise to hear the perfected prayers of his children. It will be these prayers that will come up to him with the smoke of the incense. That's what's going to be offered up to him for the 45 minutes. Revelation chapter 8 verse 3 again. And another angel came and stood at the altar having a golden censer, and there was given unto him much incense that he should offer it with the prayers of the saints upon the altar which was before the throne. These are not prayers from previous saints. These are prayers from the saints that are dwelling on the earth, the righteous remnant of the northern kingdom. Bara'ashayath, chapter 8, verse 20. This is the book of Genesis. And Noah, who is Noah, built an altar unto Yahweh, and took every clean beast and of every clean fowl, and offered burnt offerings on the altar. And Yahweh smelled a sweet savor. And Yahweh said in his heart, I will not again curse the ground any more for man's sake, for the imagination of man's heart is evil from his youth, neither will I again smite any more every living thing as I have done. So when Noah offered up his sacrifice, Yahweh smelt the sweet savor of the sacrifice of Noah. Not necessarily the animals that he burnt, but it was his sacrifice of his heart. The prayers that went up, that was received because he did the right things when he made the sacrifices. And it caused Yahweh to make a promise in his heart of what he will never do again, which is to bring a flood. Even though he knows the imaginations of men are wicked from their youth, wicked from get-go, from the very beginning of time, he knows that, but he made a promise because the sacrifice of Noah was a pure sacrifice of praise. His prayers were heard. And that is the sweetness that Elohim always smells. Because of how Noah was. He was a righteous man. So when he offered up his sacrifice was received and accepted by Elohim. And this is the same for us. When we're walking in righteousness, when we begin to pray, he answers us. He responds to us. Revelation chapter 8 again, verse 4. And the smoke of the incense which came with the prayers of the saints ascended up before Elohim out of the angel's hands. This is why we need to pray as his people. Never grow weary in praying. Every day pray, when is it going to be time? When is it going to time? Are we there yet? Like a child. Right? But now that I'm doing this piece, I'm like, okay, I need to shut up now about that because certain events have not taken place yet. Right? But he still wants us to keep praying. I sing Psalm 70 several times a day. And that's a prayer of preservation. Come quickly, Father. Psalm 70, when you get a chance, take a look at it. It's a beautiful prayer, beautiful psalm that you can make it into a beautiful prayer. On the 45th day before the northern kingdom's departure, this silence will take place, as it will be a time of preparations for the angels to receive their trumpets in silence, because they're getting ready to bring out the next batch of judgments. And for the other angel to receive the prayers of the saints, which is the righteous remnant of the northern kingdom, and offer them up to Elohim also in silence. All these things were done in silence. Next, the angel sends a response to those prayers. At this point, the silence is broken. Revelation chapter 8 verse 5, and the angel took the censer, filled it with fire of the altar, and cast it into the earth. And there were voices and thunderings and lightnings and an earthquake. All these things are happening not only in the heavens but on the earth. So the silence is broken. The 45 minutes are over. Okay. And now begins the exodus for the northern kingdom, the second exodus into the wilderness for the northern kingdom. That's what that fire that was cast down to the earth symbolized. That's their starting point. That's the time where they need to get out of the land and start on their trek. That fire was not there to destroy anything or anyone, but it was to mark their start of their exodus. And he's going to come down like a fire too. It's not the angel casting him down. No, he's going to come down immediately after to guide his people into the wilderness. He's going to guide them and he's going to guard them. Even from the trumpets that are coming, he's going to protect them. And any rebels in their midst, he's going to deal with them himself. Some of them may even be sloughed off. He might allow some of the trumpet judgments to slough off some of them. Who knows? But I know they're not going to be completely, fully escaping the trumpets. He's not going to do that until the 5th trumpet, where they're going to be completely sealed off now. They cannot be touched. So when we look at the trumpets during when we get back to the book of Revelation, we'll see for sure and know for sure how these trumpets are going to play out. I know the trek in the wilderness is for a particular purpose. And what is that purpose? To help reform the northern kingdom completely to be the righteous people that they need to be in order to get into the land. It's not only going to take the war to turn their hearts around and seeing the judgments, going through the judgments, but they have to release the pagan idols that they have embedded inside of them. Remember, these are people that have been saturated in Gentile nations for generations, since 721 BCE. So he is refining them while they're going through the wilderness. Yes, he'll guard them and protect them, but they still have to go through some things. Like I said, they have to learn to stand on faith, to believe in him, to be refined, to be the people that he wants them to be. He wants all of us to be like this. So there will be few that will be sloughed off. Well, I shouldn't say the word few. I know there will be some that will be sloughed off. Because some people just can't help going back to be how they were. They may start to complain like, I can't understand why we keep going through this. Look, you're done. You don't understand it, you're not supposed to complain. End of story. You start complaining, he's done with you. And this is just the nature of our flesh. That if we do not learn to control and keep this flesh man, this nature of ours, under submission at all times, it will cause us to lose our inheritance. And this is what the northern kingdom will have to learn to do. To bring their sin nature under his righteousness. Bring it under control by walking in righteousness. When they walk in righteousness, it will be under control. So he will be with them But this doesn't mean that they will not have to go through some things. Think of our forefathers when they were in the wilderness. He was with them, was he not? He was with them as a pillar of fire by night and a pillar of cloud by day. The tabernacle was there. He came down as a cloud upon the tabernacle when it was set up. He was living in our midst, our forefathers' midst. But did that mean that they were protected from evil? No, because many of them went out and married women from different tribes around them and brought them back to the camp. There are a lot of different things that our people did that made the Father angry. Not just complaining about food and water, lack of food and lack of water, or tired eating the manna, but they were marrying pagan women and doing sacrifices to their gods. That made the Father angry. And that's why we have to go through the fire. Like I said before, we are going through the fire now. We got some more fire coming. Be aware. And they're going to have to go through some serious fire when they're going in their exodus. It's not going to be an easy jog. All right. So now let's look at the voices, thunderings, and lightnings and earthquakes that will occur at the end of each seventh judgment. Revelation chapter 8 verse 1. And when he had opened the seventh seal, there was silence in heaven about the space of half an hour. We know that's 45 minutes. And the angel took the censer and filled it with the fire of the altar and cast it onto the earth. And there were voices and thunderings and lightnings and an earthquake. Then we go to Revelation chapter 11 verse 15. And the seventh angel sounded, that's the trumpet, and there were great voices in heaven saying, the kingdoms of this world are become the kingdoms of our Yahweh and of his Mashiach, and he shall reign forever and ever. And the temple of Allah Hayam was opened in heaven, and there was seen in his temple the ark of his testament. And there were lightnings and voices and thunderings and an earthquake and great hail. Let's go to Revelation chapter 16, verse 17. And the seventh angel poured out his vial into the air, and there came a great voice out of the temple of heaven from the throne saying, it is done, it is finished. This is the final plague now. Verse 18, and there were voices and thunders and lightnings, and there was a great earthquake, such as was not since men were upon the earth. So mighty an earthquake and so great. So at the ending of every seventh judgment, whether it is seal judgment, trumpet judgment, or bowl judgment, or vial judgment, right? Because the vial, bowl, they're the same. We see voices and lightnings and thunderings and an earthquake. There's only one where they had the great hail, which was the trumpet judgment. At the end of the seventh seal, the voices and thunderings and lightnings and earthquake were the precursor for the northern kingdom to begin their exodus. The 45th day at the 45th minute. At the end of the seventh trumpet, the northern kingdom makes it into our land, Yashraal. Hence the praises from heaven. Sorry, let me repeat that. Hence the praises from voices in heaven and the elders. At the end of the seventh vial, the judgments are completed, and soon Hamashiach will return to the earth with his saints, that's the southern kingdom, to reunite them with the northern kingdom in our land. So each seventh judgment, with the voices and the thunderings and the lightnings and the earthquake, could be the earthquaking, but we know the last earthquake was so massive. It was bigger than the sixth seal earthquake. But there's something on the earth that happens, a significant, profound event that takes place. And the first one is the northern kingdom begins their exodus. You know why? Because now finally we're free. We're free. We've been delivered. All right. That's why the voices are singing praises in heaven. There's the thunder and the lightning and the earth quaking. Then at the end of the seventh trumpet, the northern kingdom makes it into the land. Finally, they're home. And then at the seventh vial, Hamashiach has brought the world back onto his reign. The reign of the evil empires are over. This is the time of Hamashiach's reign soon to come. Soon to come. Still got one more beast to deal with. I forgot about the woman on the beast. That NWO that's going to return. And then finally it will be Hamashiach coming with the southern kingdom to reign on the earth for 1,000 years. Sometimes I get my my events, you know, because I've been doing this and I go through and then I'm working on a previous, sorry, not previous, the next part 3 of this, and then I'm still working on the book of Revelation. So I got to sometimes get it straight, and sometimes I get a little twisted. I get my information twisted a little bit. So forgive me for that. Forgive me. Because the sequence of events, yes, the seventh vial, meaning it is finished, the judgments, the judgments are all completed, and now there's still a final battle with the final Satan to deal with. But basically what they're saying is that now the earth can begin to heal. Why? Because the northern kingdom are safe, dwelling safely in their land, and soon to be reunited with their brethren, the southern kingdom. Soon Hamashiach will be on the earth to reign as king forevermore. And soon evil will be completely vanquished. Now don't forget, because if you look at the book of the beast of Revelation, the book of Revelation, we know that, and we've spoken about the northern kingdom, the NWO, when it goes underground the first time, the technology-based empire that was destroyed. The technology was destroyed, but the empire was not destroyed. It was dismantled, but then they come back together by the fifth trumpet. It returns with a new Satan leading at the helm. And this is the one that Hamashiach is going to fight against with the sword in his mouth. Not much of a fight, because he just opens his mouth and they're destroyed. All right? They're destroyed. And then the final Satan will be placed into the bottomless pit for 1,000 years. So this is the reason why we have the voices, the thunderings, the lightnings, and the earthquake. This is the reaction from the heavens to see the events leading to the next batch of events leading to the very end, where it can be said, it is done. It's amazing. I can't believe that we are living in the days of the end, the time of the end. It is such an amazing time to be alive. I'm saying this, and I've said it And I'll keep saying it. It is an amazing time to be alive, to see what we have been reading about and heard of, but now we are going to see it with our very eyes. And we can become a pivotal part of the end time events if we're walking righteously and obeying the commandments of Ha'ola Yawan. If we are not, then we're going to be lost souls, and we're going to perish, and we're going to live in fear, and we're going to live in torment for all eternity. As you can see, the heavens will become very active with the voices of angels, the elders, and of Allah Hayam. The thunderings are also voices of other angels. The archangels called the seven thunders. That's what Yawakanan heard. When he heard the seven thunders, those were the seven archangels speaking. And there was something that they spoke. But we'll look at that in part 3. The lightnings and the earthquake upon the earth will shake the earth until mountains and islands move out of place and will be found no more. So it's at this point of time that all mountains will be removed from the earth with the exception of one. Well, one will be brought up, and that's Mount Saiwan. But all islands, whatever is left, will flee away. There will only be one mountain left on the earth after this final earthquake, and that will be Mount Saiwan, the center for worship for the entire earth. Because we know that Hamashiach will take the mountain of Olive, the Mount of Olives, and he's going to cause that mountain to be split open and raise up the middle of it to create. That's where his tabernacle is going to be set. That's where the center of worship will be, right there, and that's going to be called Mount Saiwan, all right, in the city of Yarawashalam. Now, I know when we look at, I think it's the second Exodus into the wilderness, and we spoke about Gog and Magog, who's going to come in the mountains of Yashra'al, that then it sounds like, oh, that may be a bit of a conflict, because if it says here that every island fled away and mountains were not found, what happens to the mountain in Yashra'al? Well, mountains around the world will not be found. But remember, the land of Yashra'al will not be touched. The land of Yashra'al will be preserved from the judgments after it's been cleansed and after our brethren makes it into the land by the 7th trumpet. So when he says every island, Revelation 16 verse 20, and every island fled away and the mountains were not found, was speaking about all the other islands around the world and mountains found around the world. He's not speaking about the land of Yashra'al. That land is going to be preserved. It will have its own mountains, but the main mountain in the city is going to be Mount Saiwan, and that's where Hamashiach is going to reign for 1,000 years, to be our king and high priest forever. And we will be his priests, his kings and priests, his leaders, his rulers and priests, to reign with him. All right. So that is the ending of part 2, the conclusion of the first 3.5 years. As we go along in the book of Revelation, because we are looking at timeline, right? We're paying attention to the timeline more so than anything else. But once we get back into the book of Revelation and we start to go through these books here and looking at the other events that are to take place, like look in detail at the rest of the trumpets, what the trumpets are, look at the vials and what they are, then we can have a clear picture as to how all of these are going to play out for the Northern Kingdom while they're on their journey. Because we're not looking at the judgments yet, we're looking at the timeline when all these things are going, the major things are going to take place when it comes to the 1,260 days, 1,290 days, 1,335 days. We're looking at those sequence of events when the Southern Kingdom leaves, the Northern Kingdom wakes up, the Northern Kingdom goes through their wars, and the Northern Kingdom starts their exodus. Those are the events that we're looking at, right? Because they lead to the very end, which will be the 7th year. The ending of time, the ending of the wickedness upon the earth. All right? So it will become clearer. I don't want to push too much information and then it becomes, too much to absorb. So we will be revisiting all these scriptures, these seals, the rest of the seals, because we stopped at seal 4. So we will revisit seal number 5 all the way through to seal number 7. And then we will start the trumpets and so on and so forth. We'll see how it all plays out, because remember, there are other events that will be taking place, because the book of Revelation is not in its correct order. It is not in its correct order. So we will look at it in its correct order from the next lesson after we finish this series, and that will be the woman and the man-child. Okay? So without further ado, we will take a look at the Barayam chapter 6 verse 24 to 26. This is the blessing for Yashra'al. Yabarakak Yahweh wa Yashamarak. May Yahweh bless you and keep you. Yasha'a Yahweh panayo alayak wa yachanak. May Yahweh cause his face to shine upon you and have favor upon you. Yasha'a Yahweh panayo alayak wa yasham lak shalom. May Yahweh lift up his face upon you and give you peace. And I will give you peace. I will send you love and peace and favor from the Most High Abiyah. And may your day continue to be blessed. And may you continue to walk in his righteousness. And always lifting up your eyes to him to sing praises and send your prayers, but not complaining. All right? So praises to the Most High, Abiyah.